Hey, John here. This video you're about to watch is actually from 2 years ago, and honestly, I think it got overlooked. So that's a shame, because inside it, I show you one of the most effective practice routines you can do for 2-note per string pentatonic picking. Now, you'll notice a few random memes and text experiments I was trying at the time. Just ignore that. What matters is the routine itself. If you sit down and actually work through it, it's going to make a huge difference in your picking accuracy, your speed, and your ability to connect pentatonic shapes all over the neck. So do yourself a favor, grab your guitar, follow along with this lesson, and put the time in. You'll thank yourself later. And if you want to stay motivated with weekly challenges, pick up new ideas, and connect with other guitar players who are serious about getting better, join my free practice room community. The link is in the description. So with all that said, let's go. Hey, John here. In this lesson, we're going to cover a classic pentatonic picking sequence. We're going to do it descending. And we're going to do it ascending as well. So I'm not just going to give you 2 licks here.
I'm going to give you the keys to the Lamborghini.
I'm going to actually give you a full practice routine that you can apply to this whole pattern. And by doing so, you will be able to play it in any key that you want. You will strengthen your knowledge of the pentatonic boxes, and your picking will get a real upgrade if you actually do this in the way that I'm going to show you. Do it! So let's get going. So the fast version that I played in the beginning here is in F sharp minor. But I'm going to show this sequence in A minor instead, and the reason for that is you can see it in context, and you can also understand easier how all these boxes connect, just in case you're not familiar with these 5 boxes. I'm going to move quite quickly here, so I'm not going to go through all the positions in detail. I'm basically going to show you the routine. If you're not familiar with these patterns or boxes, you can find a link in the description below that you can sign up for my newsletter, and you get the lick of the day and all that stuff. It's 175 at this moment, all for free. If you don't want to do that, you can just Google pentatonic boxes, and those are the same ones that I'm going to be using. So there's nothing spectacularly new here. But the sequence that we're going to follow in the practice routine, that's going to make all the difference here. So let's get going. We start here with the first position. And I call this the first position just because we have the root as the lowest note. So there's no official pattern 1 necessarily. But you take one of the 5 patterns, and then you're going to apply this sequence. And this sequence is a very easy one to learn, because if we start with the ascending one, start with a downstroke first. And we're going to pick everything here, so it's going to be alternate picking. Basically, you're going to go up 6 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then restart the pattern from the A string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Restart from the D string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Restart from the G string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you're done with the ascending part. And then descending is exactly the same thing, but you go backwards. So you go from the E string, restart on the B string, G string, and the D string. So now the practice routine is going to entail you taking each of these shapes, starting at the lowest available position without using an open string. So this shape then will start on the 1st fret here. So we're basically in F minor. Then you go up, you ascend in this position. So you just go up. Then when you get to the top, you shift up a half step, and then you go down. Shift up again, go up. And so on, all the way up until you reach the top of your fretboard. And I have 24 frets here. If you have 22 or 21 or 38, it doesn't matter. You just go as far as you can on your fretboard. Even though it's super annoying to play up here, do it anyway.
What are you waiting for? Do it!
Once you've reached the top, you basically just restart, but now you want to restart with an upstroke. So instead of going down, up, so basically leading with a downstroke to each string, since it's an even number, you're gonna lead with an upstroke instead. So and so on, all the way back again. And then when you've done that, you guessed it, you take the next position Now I play the second position in the key of A minor, and that's going to be important later on in the routine. Then you take that shape and move it down so you have the index finger on the first fret, and then you play the sequence. Same thing, just go up in half steps until you reach the top, then you start with an upstroke and go down in half steps until you back where you started. You take the third shape, do the same thing, fourth shape, same thing, fifth shape, same thing. After you've done that, you're basically 1/3 of the way through the routine. And an important note here is that this routine doesn't have to be done all in one day. So it depends on how much time you allot for alternate picking in your practice schedule, or even 2 notes per string alternate picking. So let's say you do 20 minutes of 2 notes per string alternate picking per day. You just go as far as you can get in this whole routine, and then you just jot down like, okay, I got to this point in the routine, and then the next day you start where you left off. So you don't need to overcomplicate it like that. If you do everything in one day, it will probably take you a while, but I mean, that's also fine. That will really help your technique a lot. But even still, don't let it stop you if you feel like, oh, this will take too long, I'm not even gonna do it. Just break it up, it doesn't really matter. And then once you've gone through the routine once, you can basically just reassess and be like, all right, how do I feel about this? Should I do it again? Or am I good? Am I bored with this? Or should I, move on to something else, or is it worth it to me to go through the whole thing again? So I find this way of working on things is almost like you have a project instead of just having a set of exercises you do every day, which I've also done, and that works. Anything works if you put the reps in, but I think this feels better to me at least, and it's been really great results with my students as well. So again, just do as much as you can per day, make sure you know where you left off, and then you keep going. All right, we play the first part of the routine. Now you want to take these shapes and put them together. And what I mean by that is that you're gonna take the first shape, then you're gonna move it up, not chromatically, but you're gonna move into the second shape. And now I played it twice and stopped on the start of the third repetition of it. And that's what I want you to do. So you do that down here. So you start at the first position as before. So you do that up in this one. Do that twice and then stop here, slight pause, relax, move up to the next key and do the same thing, up and down. Move up, same thing, up and down, and then when you get up to the top, you do the same thing as before. You move it down in half steps, but now you start with an upstroke instead. So that would be pattern 1, going up in pattern 1, down in pattern 2. Then when you're done with that, you're going to go up in pattern 2 and down in pattern 3. And when I say up and down here, I mean going from lower pitch up to a higher pitch. That's up for me, and then down it's going from a higher pitch down to a lower pitch. So if we start in pattern 2 here, and again I'm doing this in the key of A minor initially, and I think that's good because then you can orient yourself because you're in the same key, so it's easier to see. And once you know what you're doing, you move it down to the first fret again and then do everything chromatically. So I'm just going to show this one and then you can figure out the rest. One thing to keep in mind here when you start coupling these together, meaning going up in one shape and down in the next, instead of doing the same shape chromatically, is that you might have to alter the fingerings slightly. And I'm just going to let you find what's most comfortable for you. But for example, when I go up in 2, but with the sequence, right? If I go, the most ergonomic way of doing it in pattern 2 here would be to keep one finger per fret, but going 2-4 here, it's not going to work very well with this shape.
Surprise, motherfucker!
So instead I go up like that. So I have 1-3 instead, and then I can shift up with 1-3. And then I'm sort of aligned with the descending in the third shape. And then when I get back here, I'm actually going to be on the index finger, so instead of the second finger. So that's another reason why I want you to do 2 reps of these couplings, because you might have to change the fingering on the second repetition. Might make all the sense in the world to start here on the second finger, but as you come back from this shape with the index finger, it makes more sense to start with the index finger and sort of stretch your fingers a bit. So I don't want you to be too strict with the fingerings here, because you want to be consistent within the same context, but now since the context is changing, instead of doing it chromatically, we're actually coupling positions together. That's a good thing though, because when you're improvising, you're not going to be stuck to a certain fingering. You shouldn't be. So it should be whatever works in that situation. So this is actually a good thing. So I'm going to let you figure that out yourself. But you do exactly the same thing. You just start with the second shape, going up and then down in the third. But you start down here once you found your bearings here in the key of A minor. And then you do the same thing all the way up. Start with an upstroke, go all the way down. Then you restart, go up in the shape 3, down in shape 4. But you start down here, start with a downstroke, go all the way up, start with an upstroke, go all the way down. And then you do that up in 5 and then down in 1 as well. So basically you have 5 shapes. You go up in 1, down in 2, up in 2, down in 3, up in 3, down in 4, up in 4, down in 5, up in 5, down in 1. When you've done that, you've basically covered all the combinations here from one pattern to the next. So whatever pattern you're in, you're going to be able to go up or down in the pattern and transition from any of the patterns around, to the left or right of the pattern you're in. And that's very powerful when you get used to that, because then you basically will always know where you are on the fretboard. That's the second third of this thing, and the last thing you want to do is exactly the same thing, but we're gonna start, instead of starting, we take up in shape 1 and down in shape 2, but we're gonna start in shape 2. So we're gonna go down in shape 2, and then up in shape 1, down in shape 2 again, up in shape 1, and then we stop on the top note. So it's just a slight variation, but I think it's worth doing, because a lot of people are so used to starting scales on the lowest note the whole time. So can get kind of confused when you have to start on the higher note of a scale. So doing the same routine again will really mitigate that. That's the whole routine. And if you do this and you make sure to start with a downstroke down here and an upstroke up here, I think you will be surprised at how much this will help your overall picking. But again, no exercise is going to help you if you don't do it. So make sure that you really get the practice in. And another thing, if it's not obvious, the tempos here should be slow enough so it's perfect. And this is why I love moving things in half steps across the fretboard. Besides getting all the benefit of the different fret spacings and the tensions on the guitar, you're also gonna get you have like milestones, so you can feel like, okay, I'm moving up here and something is happening, instead of just sitting in the same position doing the same thing over and over again. It's really easy to tune out then and not sort of focus anymore. But when you do it this way, you can really gauge, like, all right, if you screw it up on any one of the frets, I think you should do that fret again. And if you keep screwing up, whether it's strings ringing that shouldn't be ringing, or even worse, you're getting unsynchronized, you should definitely slow it down so it's perfect. So that should be the goal, to get through the whole thing perfectly. And obviously you're going to make mistakes at some point, so that's no big deal. But if you make a lot of mistakes, you're just practicing too quickly. So you just want to find a tempo where everything is perfect and it feels good and it sounds good. And when you've gone through the whole routine like that, that's where you've really made a big difference in your picking technique. And like I said, you won't be Eric Johnson after doing this routine once, but if you do this routine a few times, I think you'll feel a real difference in your overall picking technique. All right, that's it for this one. If you have any questions, just post them below. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next one.